further ado, whomever came. Lætitia, the stage is yours. Thanks for being here.
Okay. Well,
Is it working?
no, it doesn't.
Let me see. Try now. Try.
Yeah?
Now
Okay.
it's working.
Hello. I'm very happy to be there to talk to you about the PostgreSQL project governance. But first, if you've never been to one of my talks, you might be puzzled, because my slides are all about images without any word, which is great because people actually listen to me, which is what I want. I'm a mom. When I speak, I want people to listen to me. But it might be a problem because my accent might be beautiful, but might be also not that easy to understand. And you might have hearing problem. You might have attention disorder, or whatever reason might make it difficult for you to follow without any words. Also, I found out that sharing beautiful slide decks without any word was useless. So I provide an annotated version of my slide, and you will find it here. If you skip that slide, the QR code is also on the right-hand corner of my slide. I will publish them on LinkedIn and Blue Sky. Who I am. My name is Lætitia Avrot, which is obviously French. And don't look at how it's spelled. This is a Latin spelling, so don't look at it. It's pronounced Lætitia. I'm a PostgreSQL DBA since 2007. My first work on Postgres was to try to create a syntax algorithm for Postgres for French tone name. If you studied a little French, you might know that it's a challenge due to so many mute letters and so many different ways to write down the same sound. After that, I became a PostgreSQL recognized contributor. I'm also the founder of Postgres Women, where we try to put some light on women in the community. So there's a very simple evil plan in 2 steps. Step 1, make them come to event. Step 2, push them on stage. And it works. Until this year, I was also a university teacher in Lyon, where I was living, where I was teaching Postgres. Actually, first year, I was teaching Oracle and Postgres. And then I called the university headmaster and said, this is not good for Oracle, because students can compare and they see that Oracle is not that good. So they want to do only Postgres. And he said, OK, let's do only Postgres in the curriculum. That's how I traversed the Lyon University. You might find my blog, mydbnotebook.org, and also this small website that I wrote, psqltips.org. PSQL is the only official client of Postgres. It's command line, so it can be a little difficult to learn it, more difficult than a GUI tool, for sure. So I created this little website that will give you a tip at random. You can refresh anytime you want. It will give you another tip. I have 150 at the moment. The main goal is to go to 250 or 300 in the end. So let's talk about organized anarchy, trash bin system. It's also called the garbage can model. This is how Postgres works. And you will see that it's interesting. So first, the PostgreSQL project. There is no governance. There is no product owner. There is no project management. And it works. I mean, if you've run Postgres, you know that it works. And it's been working for a long time now. So how do they achieve that? On top of that, it's also one of the most loved databases from developers, because the Stack Overflow survey, over 90K responses from the survey, Postgres is #1 on the most popular tech, most admired and desired, and most worked with and wants to work with, which is by itself an achievement, because it's been like 4 to 5 years in a row that Postgres is #1. So it shows that Postgres kind of have something. What is organized anarchy? So I use that term instead of the trash bin system or garbage can model, because that's how we translate it in French, and I love the oxymoron, organized anarchy. So there are three important things to understand. If you want to create a project using the organized anarchy philosophy, you need to have no common goal. Nobody has common goals in life. In this project, it will be the same. The process must rely only on the most simplest tech. You don't want something fancy and complicated. You want things to be very simple. And you want to allow anyone to go on and off with their participation depending on their time and the time they want to invest in the project. About anarchy, so this is a picture from La Commune de Paris, Paris Commune, which was a French anarchy revolution in the late 90s. We don't know if anarchy could work as a government thing, because each time there was such initiative, it was brutally repressed, like it was here. Most people in this picture are dead now, that's for sure, but were killed during the attempt to try to change the government. So we never knew if it could work. Postgres, by using the anarchy philosophy, is a proof that using organized anarchy can make things work. There are 4 ways someone, including in an organized anarchy problem, can contribute. First, they can look for problems looking for solutions. But then they can also go the other way around and look for solutions and then look for the problem to that solution. We can also have decision makers looking for work, because decision has to be made, and it can be done by anyone in this philosophy. And then we can have participants who are looking for decisions. So those are the 4 times, the 4 streams of data, the 4 streams people can participate. So the most important thing is you don't need to have a problem to propose a solution. That's the most important thing in organized anarchy. And this is exactly how American universities process things. And you might think that it's not very efficient. Well, actually, like in most universities' projects, this is pro bono. So we don't care about efficiency, actually. We just want to do things the way we want. And if it's not efficient, who cares? I'm spending my own time. I can do whatever I want with it. So efficiency is not the problem, which is very different from when you're coding in a company. But let's look a little about why it works. Let's picture a company of 1,000 employees, and let's imagine this company is making 200 billions revenue. If we take an average, we can approximate that each employee generates 200,000 euros revenue. That's a simple division. How would you evaluate the normal productivity of a normal employee? Do you have any idea? Would be 50%? Raise your hand if you think it's 50%. 60%? No? 70? 80? Normally, in all the literature, we suspect that the motivation rate of a normal employee is 70%. If it's under that, normally they do quit and find another job. So, let's say it's 70%. Then, let's say that by having highly motivated employees, we go from 70% to 80%. So that's the productivity of a motivated employee. I don't go to 100 because, of course, even motivated employees have bad days. That's normal. So let's just calculate how more revenue they will add to the company by being highly motivated. So this is a simple calculation, and we go to each employee coming from 200,000 euros to 230,000 euros. But if now we add this, we multiply this 30,000 euros more by the 1,000 employee, that's a 30 billion euros extra revenue. So this is a very simple demonstration to explain what everyone should know. More motivated employees produce more than the less motivated employees. Well, I do it because we have some managers in IT who could look at that sometimes. If you have highly motivated employees and they work out whatever they want, using the time however they want, then you can go into processes like we have in Postgres, where we focus on quality. Because in a company, you have pressure to ship the new features, pressure to add things into a minor version, even though it's a new feature, and so on. If you're in an open source project working pro bono, there can't be any pressure. In that way, it means that the PostgreSQL project decided on very simple rules to maintain quality. And those are 4. There will never, ever be a new feature in a minor release of Postgres. Minor releases are meant for patches, fixing bugs, and vulnerabilities. No new feature. The new version of Postgres will be out each year in fall. We don't give a deadline or a precise one, because it will be out when it will be ready. Sometimes it's September, sometimes it's November. It's okay. But what we do is, for sure, there will be a feature freeze in April. It means that after April, we can remove features from the release candidate, but we can't add more. And then we have no fixed scope. Again, it's okay to remove a feature if it's not ready. The most important thing is that when we ship Postgres, it's stable, or at least the most stable it can be. I'm not saying Postgres is without any bug, because that won't be true, but we're trying very hard to make sure that it's stable. So, as I said, we work pro bono. And there's something very freeing when you're working pro bono. It's you give whatever you want. No one can pressure you to give more than what you want, because they don't owe you. You don't owe them anything, and they don't own you. So you work on what makes you happy. If it stops making you happy, you can stop. That's okay. What matters is that you have fun. So some real example of how it works. I spent 3 months working on adding hyperbolic functions to Postgres. I don't know if you know about hyperbolic functions, hyperbolic sinus, tangent, and cosinus. I didn't know about these functions before. I learned about them and wanted to add them to Postgres for SQL compatibility. And I was very sure no one would ever use them. But after it was released, a man thanked me on email, thanking me because he was looking for that feature for a long time. You never know. Even though you think it's totally useless, maybe it will be useful to someone. And at least if you, and again, the main goal should be to have fun writing code. It's not to create something useful. It's just to create because you want to create. Some people in the Postgres community dedicate their life to improve performance on very corner cases, or can track 100 millisecond lag for days or weeks. It's okay. If it's their way of having fun, that's so great. When you create a documentation fix, actually it's at the same level of code fixing. So it's celebrating the same way. Actually, when you do contribute, you get a coin. So it's a small gesture from the community, but it's very nice. So there is no too small or not big enough features that you can create, as long as you have fun creating it. No burnout culture, you can take a break whenever you want, because we all have a life, and we all know that sometimes life happens, and it's okay. There are a huge number of patches that were begun and never finished, and maybe someone else in the community will pick them up and keep going with them, or maybe no one will, and that's totally okay. We do value quality over speed. That's why it was so slow to build features into Postgres at the beginning. That's why in the early 2000s, MySQL was more popular than Postgres. The thing is, in my opinion, it's easier to add features to something stable than trying to add stability to something with a lot of features that is not so stable. Quality metrics. So, in the Postgres release, the number of bugs is very low. Again, I'm not saying there is no bug. That wouldn't be true. But its vulnerabilities are rare and bugs are low. We want to release a minor version of Postgres every quarter, and we do so. But sometimes the number of fixes in these minor releases is very, very low. And that's okay. And regressions are normally caught early. We have all these CI/CD pipelines that is trying to compile and run a lot of regression tests over a farm of various OSs, storage systems, and so on. But even if it's slow, I think that doing things the right way, which is my way of saying things, plays off in the end. About tools, as I said, if you want to go with organized hierarchy, you need the simplest tech ever. So, Postgres works with mailing lists, which seems a little outdated in 2025, but there are some advantages. We have full ownership of our archives. We are hosting our mailing list servers, so we have full ownership of everything. There is no platform lock-in, because we own things. It's accessible worldwide, which is very important. And it favors asynchronous communication, which is very important. As I said, you want participants to be able to go on and off whenever they want. Also, there are some countries where connecting to the internet can be a challenge some days. So it's okay to go on and off. It's part of the process. And also, mailing lists work with any mail client you want. Then people are asking, why aren't you on GitHub? Well, actually, we do have a mirror on GitHub, but we're not hosting the main PostgreSQL Git on GitHub. Why is that? Because GitHub is owned by a company, which you might know because it's Microsoft, and they can change their terms and conditions without without telling you before. They can change overnight. And they actually did that several weeks ago about the AI policy. They can revoke your access. As you might have learned that there were some problems with the international trial at the Hague, who was hosting their emails on Microsoft platforms. And these emails access were revoked overnight. So that might be a problem for you. And GitHub might not be available everywhere because it's a Microsoft technology, so there might be some countries where you can't use them. So this is what I mean when I say that platform dependency is a risk. There's also another capability that we use. It's transparency by default. Every discussions are public on the mailing list. People are discussing. And when I say discussing, it's real discussion, not everyone showing their point of view and not trying to listen to the other. I've seen people changing side, well, not changing side, but hearing to the other arguments and think, okay, you are right on that point, and maybe we should try it another way, and they were discussing to find a consensus. Archives go back decades. As I say, we are the owner of our own platform, so we have archives for over two decades. And it's easy to search and reference emails. It's just text. And also, as everything is public, there is no backdoor for, no private channel for backdoor deals, which is important. But Postgres lives in a world where not everyone plays fair. There has been historical threats at Postgres. So companies tried to take over Postgres and the PostgreSQL community. They couldn't because the community structured itself to make sure it doesn't happen. How does it come? We have a core team. The core team is not responsible for the technical changes in Postgres, but they are responsible for kind of taking decisions regarding the project, not technical decisions, most of the time politics decisions. And this core team was made of 5 people. And there was this unwritten rule that there couldn't be a majority of the core team people working for the same company. It became a problem in 2020 when EDB bought Second Quadrant, which was the second, so EDB was the first Postgres company at the time, Second Quadrant was the second. So we found out that we had 3 people out of 5 in the core team working for EDB. We added 2 extra people, so that now we have 7 people. Of course, 2 extra people not working for EDB, because it wouldn't have been any point in doing that. And now we have no majority, no majority of people working for the same company in the core team. We had also a trademark issue. You will find in the annotated slide a link to the case where someone tried to take over the PostgreSQL trademark, because even though we are utopists and we try to work pro bono, we have some legal matters and we have lawyers defending our trademarks. And PostgreSQL survived everything. Then there are threats like, like the XZ utils platform. Have you heard of it? So this was, it's a supply chain attack, so someone was very interested in contributing to a platform using OpenSSH, and it's a year-long social engineering attack. So we think that behind it, it's not an individual, but more a country. And the maintainer, it was, as always in open source, it was a tool that was used worldwide with 1 maintainer. And the maintainer got burned out because it's very difficult to maintain open source used at that scale. And someone came and said, oh, I can help. And he began committing patches. Until 1 year after, he committed something that added a backdoor into OpenSSH. And we found it because one of the PostgreSQL fellow, he's really into performance, and he found out that from time to time, he had a 200 millisecond lag in his OpenSSH connection. And he began looking at the code and looking, and he found the backdoor. And as it was only on a beta version, it was not released on a planet scale, and he was able to prevent this to spread all over the world. So the PostgreSQL project has some protections against that. The first thing is that the trust is slow to come, and it will come over the years. It's easier to get trust when you meet people. So if you go to events, you discuss with people, it will be easier to create that kind of trust. Changes are reviewed publicly. Everything is public. And we have very experienced reviewers. I think that the PostgreSQL project might have the best C coder all over the world. So it means we don't have one single point of failure. Of course, I'm not saying it will never happen. If a country wants to give enough budget, enough money to try to compromise something like Postgres, they might succeed. But it will take a whole lot of money and time. So maybe that's not the best target. If you see an open source project where there is a change of governance that benefits one company, or if community members have pushed out, like it happened for the LXD community. LXD was the follow-up of LXC, owned by Canonical. And actually, all the community members left out and created their own project outside. If you see license changes, like recently we've seen with Min.io, it means that it's not a real open source project. Well, they do disclose some source, but if a company can take over, it's not real freedom. So look for simple red flags. If there's a single company behind, if it's a closed decision-making process, you have, even though you work pro bono, you have pressure to rush failures. If there is a contributor license agreement, meaning you give to the project everything, and that the company behind can sell your work, if there are some governance changes, these are red flags. There is
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I will rush to the end.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, it's easy to work on Postgres. You can go on the wiki on postgresql.org, and it works great. It's fun, and if it's not fun, stop doing it. And it's sustainable, and you can come and join us. We have a booth there where you have a small sheet to help you begin your contribution to Postgres.
Thank you, Lætitia.